A lot of talk about supply chains. Give us a sense from Honeywell's perspective, what has changed, if anything, since the pandemic?
Everything, I would say. I mean, it's been the biggest disruption in our business for the last 2 years. It started with the disruption in electronics, which we all well aware, and you don't get chips, you don't get parts, and that was really, I would say, about 2 years back. That's mostly healed for most part. What's still left behind for us, aerospace is the largest segment for Honeywell. And then there, the healing is yet to happen completely. We are in a midway, and the constraint there is tier three, tier four suppliers. They moved on with a lot of people during COVID, and when the capacity came back, rebuilding the capacity of the people has been a big challenge because these are certified skills, not too easy to hire people, and that's the state we are in. So uh, electronics mostly healed. On the mechanical side, products in aerospace, more in the midway, but we're making progress every week, every month, and continue to produce more. Other thing I must bring in which changed is how we think about insourcing versus outsourcing.
Mm.
That was, I would say, we generally practice the strategy of local for local, so produce for North America, Europe for Europe, and Asia for Asia. So for us, there was not a lot of moves. But when should you outsource and when you should not outsource? Because one thing we learned was that when we control the supply chain, we healed quickly. And when it was outsourced more, we healed slower. And that kind of also raising the question on how should we reconfigure on the things we do outsource, specifically in electronic side, and should that not be done by us to drive more control and more execution?
Well, what about geography? There's been a lot of talk with other companies about friend sourcing
Yes.
and onshoring, things like that. Has that been a shift for you? Is most of your supply chain within the United States? Have you taken it to other countries that we would call them so-called friendshoring?
So we always had a strategy of local for local, and our North America supply chain always supported in US and Mexico, and Europe was in Europe, and Asia was primarily China. So for us, what's changed is certainly Mexico has become more important. We always had a great presence there, so probably we are doing some insourcing type of work in Mexico, considering that to do moving forward. But we see a lot of our customers moving into friendshoring. We see activity in ASEAN countries like in Vietnam, Malaysia. We see a lot of activity in Poland. We see activity in Turkey. Uh, Mexico is probably top of the charts there. So clearly people are making decisions to redo their businesses to align more with the friendshoring.
Honeywell is a global company, and I know you're looking to grow in places where the growth is most robust. Right now, we have a lot of geopolitical conflict all around the world. Some people think it's more than we've seen in a good long time, whether that's in Europe or in Asia. How does it affect your business, if it affects your business at all?
It does. I mean, the geopolitical situation being normal certainly is a tailwind for us, and opposite is true of being a headwind. So we have to make careful choices on how should we think about the geography. So where we stand today, our business is very global. Our US revenue is about 50%, and non-US revenue between Europe and rest of the world is another 50%. And it's a careful balance to drive execution. I mean, case in point is we lost all our revenue in Russia for the right reasons. We are not going to support that cause, but we had to shut down our operation after Ukraine war, and we lost our revenue of nearly $500 million in that. So it's painful, but it's a reality of the today's world. But there are opportunities which are coming in. We see growth in other parts of Asia, which are offsetting some of the lost growth there. And it's a constant balance we have to do all the time.
Just what I was going to ask, where do you see the greatest opportunity for growth at this point?
From our business, so the segment, I can answer the question related to the segment Honeywell serves. So definitely we see a great growth opportunity for us in India and in Middle East. The reason is what those regions or countries want to do as a great fit with our portfolio. Uh, India wants to be big in airlines. That's a big business for us. They're building a lot of infrastructures. We have automation businesses in industrial and building, so that's a big opportunity for us. And those countries need a lot of energy, so we have an energy transition business. So portfolio fit to the country's strategic objective is stronger fit, which just makes us well positioned for growth in those regions.